Today, Jedd Fisch finally announced the starting quarterback against BYU. Gunner Cruz will get the ball first, but he won't be the only one. Will Plummer will also get the opportunity to lead the offense as the Wildcats plan to use a two-quarterback system.
Obviously, we'll start with the quarterback position on the depth chart. What we're going to do is we're going to play both Gunner Cruz and Will Plummer. And we expect both of them to get reps, both of them to play in the game, both of them be prepared to lead drives. And we're going to go with the approach that right now, two is better than one. And that is going to be our mentality until further notice there. As we went back and watched, all of the film, all of the statistics, all of the information, it was clear that it would be hard to tell the other person why they were not the starter more than anything else. And that is why we made that decision.
Which quarterback will go first?
Gunner will go first. Gunner will be out there first, and then we'll take it from there. But we'll decide either by drive, probably. But that's not to say we can't make a substitute within the drive. But right now our plan would be, and not to say it's going to be alternating drives. It's just right now we don't believe that there is one that I could tell is not going to play.
What are the pros and cons of the setup like that?
Well, I think more than anything, I've tried to avoid the thought process regarding the pros and the cons, and I wanted to put the people first. And in my mind, to stand there and look at Will and say, I've gone with Gunner, and when Will says why, and I would say, because I've gone with Gunner, wasn't a good answer. And if I told Gunner the same thing, I've gone with Will, and he said why, the same answer. Neither one of them deserves not to be the starter. They both have found ways to move the football. They both have not turned the ball over in team settings. One has thrown 13 touchdowns, one has thrown 11 touchdowns in team live periods. Their completion percentage, one was 64%, one was 63%. The team seemed to rally behind both of them. They both seem to be getting better. Now, I don't believe that will remain all year long. I don't believe we'll be in a two-quarterback system for the year. I would be surprised. But what I believe currently, that the right thing to do for all people involved was to tell them both they'll be prepared to play. I think the other issue is, Michael, that if you name one person the starter and things don't go well, you're very quick to go to the next person, and now you've benched the starter. And I don't think that's the right thing to do with our situation. So we're looking at it in terms of the overall psyche of the team, the psyche of the quarterback. We have two young players that each have 4 years left of eligibility, and we don't want to put them in position until we know who's the right guy.
Was this something you thought was possible at the beginning of camp, or was this a new development?
Yeah, I was probably not planning on this initially. I was thinking that there would be kind of a separation that would occur, call it like Separation Saturday if you're looking at a golf tournament, and see who on that third round makes the difference. But really, as the game proceeded, there really was nobody that said, they both got better. They both improved. They both played smarter. They both had a better understanding of the game. And when they had their opportunities to play with the ones, I think all of the people that were at the practice would say the guy had their best day when they were with the ones. Will had his best day the day he had the ones the whole day. Gunner had his best day the day he had the ones all day. And for that, we had to evolve to this decision.
How far behind is Jordan McLeod? Is he going to have an opportunity this year?
Jordan, we talked with Jordan as well yesterday. We brought him in privately as well. And just he too had this, had the same opinion as we did, that if he was here in the spring, there might have been a little different situation because of all of his experiences. But the fact that he missed all of the spring and some of the summer was really just a challenge to get fully caught up to speed. But I also believe that is not to say that as the year progresses, that Jordan is not a viable option if need be. Jordan has 2 years to play. Jordan will continue to develop. And I'm hopeful that as he continues to gain experience in our system, he too will be able to compete.
I'm now joined by senior editor Matt Moreno. Coach surprised us today with announcing 2 starters for the BYU game. How big of a shock was that?
I think it was surprising. I don't think it was a shock. If you kind of listen back to what he said on Saturday after the scrimmage, he kind of alluded to a plan. He didn't say, we're going to have one guy and we're going to name him and everything's going to be, simple going forward. He kind of said, I have to kind of deliver a plan to the quarterbacks and tell them how we're going to set things up. And that kind of, if you listen to it closely, it kind of perked your ears up and said, he might do something a little bit tricky here. Credit to him because as a first-year coach, it's difficult to make a decision like this. There's going to be criticisms, which there have been. There's always the old adage of if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. And so that is something that Jedd Fisch is, he had to be aware of. He knew. He's been around the game long enough to understand that there's going to be criticisms of this. But if you watched all of training camp, you understood that there really wasn't a lot of separation between the two. One thing I always said was if you could somehow mash Gunnar Cruz and Will Plummer together, you'd have a really, really good quarterback. But they kind of complement each other well and can do some different things, and that is added up to you're going to see 2 different quarterbacks September 4th against BYU in Las Vegas. And so Gunnar Cruz will get the start. He'll be the first guy out there, and then they'll kind of play it by ear. Jedd Fisch said there's no true plan in terms of you're going to get this rep, you're going to go first drive and third drive, and you're going to alternate drives. He said it's going to be kind of based on feels. So we'll see how the game plays out. Maybe you don't see Will Plummer all that much, but I think they're going into it knowing, hey, Will Plummer is going to get an opportunity to show what he can do. I think the other element to it is this coaching staff doesn't have a good feel for what these guys can do in a game. Obviously, no one has really seen them out. Will Plummer played sparingly, played in a few games last year, so everyone here kind of understands what he brings to the table, but this coaching staff doesn't. Gunnar Cruz played in 1 game, had a few series with Washington State against USC and had success, but this staff doesn't know what he can do in a game, and so I think it's going to be important for them to see, what changes once they actually get in that game atmosphere, going up against a more normal defense, and they'll take it from there. But Jedd Fisch says he doesn't anticipate this going the entire season. He figures someone will take over that job, and we'll see who that is. But for now, it's going to be a 2-quarterback system.
We'll have a lot more coverage of this big decision on goazcats.com. With Matt Moreno, I'm Averie Klonowski from the Lowell Stevens Football Facility.